He's an American former professional basketball player and businessman. He is the principal owner and chairman of Charlotte Hornets of the National Basketball Association and of the 23XI racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. He played 15 seasons in the NBA, winning six championships with the Chicago Bulls. His biography on the official NBA website states, by acclamation, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. He's an integral. He was integral in helping to popularize the NBA around the world in the 1980s and 1990s, becoming a global cultural icon in the process. Hey, welcome back to my channel. This is Become Successful with Yemi Osho. On today's episode, I bring to you another important personality in person of Michael Jordan, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who was born on February 17, 1963. Please sit back, relax, and listen to Top 10 Success Tips by Michael Jordan.
Think that he had what it took to work with you to win a championship again?
I didn't know. I think I think Luke can answer that a little bit better than I can. I felt the need to push him. I know at that time they hadn't won. A lot of those guys have never won in terms of the world championship or something to that magnitude. And so I knew it was going to take some learning for them to understand that. That's where my role became very vital, to lead and to give them that that knowledge that they need. Along with Phil, obviously Phil was the leader, but in terms of basketball leadership, when I say I led based on physically. I get out there, first one there, last one to lead, work on my skill set, blah blah blah. Listen to what the coach, try to do whatever the coach is asking. That was the leadership that I wanted everyone to see, and then reinforce it with my voice when I felt the necessary need to do so. So I felt that, no, I don't think Luke had the mentality of what it took to win, but I think he earned that over the years that we played together. And obviously, following our leadership, Phil, myself, Scotty, just so that he can understand what it would take and how his skill set could fit.
And so, what sort of skills did he need to develop more? Was it skills or attitude or both?
I think it was both. He had the skill set. 7-footer, pick and pop, shoot, rebound, block shots. Defensively understood exactly what to do, set great screens. But the mindset of being able to do that every single night, do that against teams that were more physical and teams that are less physical. It was a mindset that I felt like Luke had to learn, and I think he did learn. And we all had to learn over the period of our careers. And but when we were going against the teams like New York Knicks, Indiana Pacers, Miami Heat, it's a certain mentality that those teams are being coached at. We had to match that, if not surpass that. And I think that was the growth of what Luke had to learn.
And so, Luke was the first Australian in the NBA. What did you think of his Australianness?
Laid back. I never seen Luke mad, to be honest. And his personality is that he, every day, good day, mate. You feel that warmth coming from him, and and that's good. It's good to have that mentality, and you feel like you're very fortunate each and every day, and you wake up, you enjoy your life, you live it by the moment. But there's times when you have to push yourself a little bit, and you want to see that frustration, you want to see a little bit of anger, and Luke did at times. You had to do a little pushing to get that, but his mentality is that he just enjoys being around people. He is that gentle giant. He's always been big, wherever he was growing up and been around. So it's quite naturally, he always wants to feel welcome and wanted to, connect with someone, maybe a smaller person or, anybody. That's a great trait to have. Also, that trait has to be adjusted, especially when you're in competition, because you want that dominance to be shown. You want that intimidation to be shown in competition. It's not a negative thing. It's always a positive thing in terms of, how you utilize it. But, it took a while for him to get to that.
Okay, and so what did you think were Luke's strengths and what did you think Luke's weaknesses were?
His strength was he could shoot. He was very smart, good passer. Physically, he could use his body very well in terms of rebounding, positioning. His weakness was, I would say, making sure mentality-wise to be aggressive. Have that killer instinct. In that, you want to dominate. And there's times where I had to push him on that. And he received it well. I mean, it wasn't as if it was a constant resistance or I felt the necessary need to do it every time we played. No, it was a process that when you win and you learn, you apply that over a period of time. And with Luke, he did. But his strong points, his athleticism. He didn't have the athleticism as most bigs, but he had the smarts. He knew how to position himself well. He knew how to play against someone like a Patrick Ewing, who he knew was far more gifted athletically. But he was able to utilize his strength, which is shooting on the perimeter, post up, using his left, his right hand, his physicality, to at least make himself known.
Were there times that you were aware that Luke was finding some of your criticisms quite tough?
Yeah, I felt that. I mean, and that's, look, I think there was a lot of situations where people were, somewhat critical in terms of the way that I perceived it. And, but I had a mission, I wanted them to understand what it took to win, and winning has a price. And the thing is that, I wanted to make sure they were prepared for the worst, especially in competition. And, I'm pretty sure there were times they were not happy with me. I think if you look back now, I'm pretty sure they are, based on how we achieved and the successes that we were able to overcome. And, but, as a leader, you sometimes you're not going to be well liked. You're not going to be, but you have to pull them along. Because you've experienced it, you understood it. The other side of that road is success, and I think that the gratification would be there once we get over that hill. And I felt that, and I can sense some of that coming from my teammates. But the thing is that for us to be successful, someone had to do that. Especially from a leadership role.
Over the years, that you played together, did your opinion of Luke change? Did you enjoy playing together by the end of those years and come to really value what he gave to the team?
I did. I valued it, and I also understood how to get it out of him, how to challenge him, as a teammate. And the thing is, and I think Luke understood. He understood that, if he missed that box out, then he's going to hear, obviously some verbal, words coming from me, the expectations were totally different. Once he proves that he could do it, the task is to do it every single night, That's the thing, and that's where I felt like I knew he was capable. We all felt he was capable, but you have to be capable every single night for us to maintain the success. So I pushed him. Obviously, I did, and verbally, I would challenge him in certain situations where I felt like, look, you're not doing what we expect you to do, and I would welcome that too. For my, if they see that I was doing something that they pretty much expected, and I was taking shortcuts, which wasn't too often, I'm pretty sure that I was open. Phil would criticize me. Other teammates would criticize me. And the purpose of improving, and the purpose of being a good teammate, and the purpose of being a good team is, we all have to look in the mirror and understand, okay, what can I do better to make this team better? And we also have to be willing to accept constructive criticism. Nothing personally. We hung out, we had fun, we would joke around, it's nothing personal. But in competition, when you're trying to, exceed and be successful, we have to hold each other accountable. That's what teammates do. And it's nothing really personal about it.
Yes, Luke admits that consistency was his big issue and that he struggled with it, and you struggled with the fact that he wasn't consistent enough.
Yeah, it was times like that. And I'll give you a good example. He may not like this story. In '98, we were playing the Utah Jazz. Did he ever tell you this?
I'm not sure which story this one's going to be.
In Utah Jazz, Scottie Pippen was out, and we knew we just played Utah in the finals the year before. So every game we play against Utah is a message. You want to send a message. So I go to Luke at the beginning of the game. I said, look, you have to establish yourself inside. You have to dominate. We're going to come to you early. You're really going to have to set the tone for us, because we don't have Scottie. It's me and Dennis and you. So he understood that. He knew the importance of that. The first quarter ends. Luke has 12 points, 4 blocks, and 4 rebounds. And I go to Luke, I say, that's how you play, man. You do that, we dominate. We up by 16. We're up by 16. We're killing them in their building. At the end of the game, Luke had 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 blocks. It's like he sufficed the anticipation or what we wanted him to do in the first quarter, but he forgot it was 3 other quarters. We're winning by 16, we lose by 15. So now my frustration is like, it's boiling, and I go into the locker room and I'm sitting down. I'm just trying to figure out, how did we lose this game? We seemed like we had a good rhythm the first quarter, blah, blah, blah. And Luke's sitting across from me. And once again, Luke has this demeanor that, he doesn't really show. Like I'm like boiling over here, but I'm really trying to hold it in because it's just one game. But I understood the significance of the game because we're playing against Utah. You want to make sure that we send a message. And Luke says, it's okay, mate. It's okay. And the way that he said it made it seem like he didn't really receive it the way that I was receiving it. And I just chuckled, and I just looked at Luke and I said, you know what, Luke? That is the last time I'm gonna give you a compliment in the middle of the game, because you don't receive compliments well, in the sense that you feel like you stop and you don't really pursue. And I said it, from a, chuckling, because I was really frustrated as opposed to yelling. I wanted him to understand, look, man, you don't have to just, you have to keep playing. You don't play just for one quarter just so that now I can look at you and say, you're doing a great job, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, but we still have to play the other three quarters of the game. And it told me more about Luke in the sense that, you got to keep pushing him. You got to keep pushing him. You got to keep pushing him. You can't let him get comfortable, because he gets comfortable, then he relaxes, and we need him to keep being aggressive, and from that point on, I didn't do it in a way, I don't think I did it in a way to point, or jab, or punch. It was almost like, okay, I gotta keep encouraging him. I gotta keep encouraging him. Even when he's doing well, I gotta keep encouraging him, because he needs that, that reinforcement. That was the thing I learned about Luke. And once I learned that, then I understood how our relationship was gonna be established. And, a hug is probably more than a yell. A pat on the back is probably more than a punch, that type of thing. And, once I was able to understand that as a leader, then we can always have a certain dialogue. Okay, mate, I can go back and forth with you, but also I know how to get you to this point that we need you to be consistent. Phil was good at it. I learned it from Phil. Phil understood that with Dennis. He understood that with me. He understood that with Scotty, Tony, Steve, all of it. And that was the strong points about who Phil Jackson was. I had to learn that through him, and then when I got back, obviously, I had different personalities that I hadn't been with. So I had to understand who these people were so that I could have a relationship, the Steve Kerr and the Punch, and, Tony Kukoc from the 92, Dream Team, blah, blah, blah. Once we understood how those dynamics would work, the communication aspect was much simpler.
Now, your desire to win and your toughness on the team as a result of that is absolutely legendary and was explored in The Last Dance. Luke described your leadership style as carnivorous. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that from his perspective. Quite naturally, yes, I can see that. And look, I didn't go in there with that mentality. That's how it's gonna. It's just so. My mentality was to win at all costs. And pull, push, yank, whatever to get everybody on the same page. And it's. I understand it. And the thing is that if I were to change my personality back, to something totally different, I wouldn't be who I would have been. I don't think we would have had the same successes. I think a lot of players probably wouldn't have been the same in terms of their perspective. So yeah, I can see him saying that. But the thing is that I think it was needed in some respect, and I think our success illustrates that.
One of the themes of this story in Luke's life, it's sort of charting Luke's life, is the fact that he did have to change. He was a gentle giant. He got to the NBA, he had to kind of put on the armor and toughen up. And then he found once his NBA career was over, he found it very difficult to shed that sort of tough armor that he'd had to sort of gird himself with. And that he quite struggled with that for quite a long time. Can you relate to that?
110%. Part of my struggles after the game is my competitive drive. I was such a competitive player, and each and every day felt the need to always get ahead of my opponent. Well, when you're out of sports and you're in in normal life, you don't shed that armor that you actually have coated yourself with, based on your lifestyle and that work ethic. It's just, you have to find your way around it, and that's frustrating, and sometimes that's even tough, because of the competitive nature that I have. I look at everything from a competitive nature, and I tell my wife all the time is that I'm cursed. I'm cursed from a competitive standpoint that, I cannot watch or compete or be a part of things without competition, and that's something that I live with today, but I would not want to live without, because I think it says so much about me and helped me define who I really want or was or am, and attain all the things I really wanted. Now it's the challenge is to calm those nerves. That's why I do a lot more fishing now. I would have never thought I would get on a boat and go fishing. But the competition of patience and being, trying to catch a fish, trying to be patient, it's not going to happen. You can't make it happen. You just have to be ready when it does happen. Those are all things that I think calms me down a lot more than if I'm playing a sport, if I'm playing golf or if I'm doing anything competitive. Because I think that, that's what I need. That's the therapy that I need to help soothe some of this competitive juices that I have.
Well, that's interesting because Luke loves fishing too, loves boats and fishings. When you look back on those years, was it sad to say goodbye to your teammates like Luke once the sort of Chicago Bulls and that team were no more?
Yes. and it's still sad. I mean, look, Luke emails me all the time, and every time I see it, good day, mate, it brings a smile to my face in the sense that, we don't spend the type of time we used to, even though, if you ask him or you ask me, I think it was genuine time, even though we were competing and we were learning about each other and we were pushing each other, blah, blah, blah. Those are still genuine times, and you don't share those with too many people. So yeah, I miss spending time with him. I miss seeing, that face that's never going to be sad no matter what happens. He's just funny. I think the thing that was in amazement of every time I spend and see Luke, it was a shock to see someone, he was looking at me and I could feel this coming from him, is that how can one person be so competitive each and every day and blah, 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 and yet he doesn't seem like he's enjoying life. When actually I was enjoying the competition. That was my enjoyment. I sensed that sometimes when he used to look at me, and just kind of, and I didn't take it negatively. I took it as a badge of honor. I take my job seriously. I take my competitive nature very seriously. But sometimes looking at him and seeing and joking and, we sense of humor and, it's fun and you miss that. You miss that celebration of starting a goal at the beginning of the year and then at the end of the year, the gratification that we went through hell to get here, but we got here, and let's just enjoy it. Let's have fun, and let's do it again in another 3 months. That was the mentality. You missed that in '98.
Hey, hope you enjoyed this episode of Become Successful with Yemi Osho. If you have gained something from this video, please do like, subscribe, share with family and friends. If you're watching on Facebook, please hit on the heart button, like the video, share with family and friends, and leave comments as well. Same with the YouTube. Subscribe, smash the notification bell to get notified of any new release. And I would like to have your recommendation. Let me know what you feel about the top 10 success tips by Michael Jordan and make recommendation of what kind of videos you would like to see. And I will see you on the next episode. Peace.